Okay, so now we're in part 2 of our lecture. We've got less than an hour left, and so I just want to spend about 20 minutes or so. Hopefully it'll take that long. It might take a little bit longer to go over printing, and then we will call it a night. And then next week when we come back in class, I'm going to let you guys decide. Your homework isn't due for another week, but if you guys want to spend the next couple days and try to get your first floor plan started in your homework, if you feel comfortable with that, what we can do is typically I spend a whole week on this is how you put in a plan, this is how you put in a plan. If you feel ready, when we come in on Thursday, I can show you how to start putting in windows. And then you guys can decide if your lab time will be finishing up this plan and putting in windows or just starting your homework. It'll be up to you guys. So if you have time, take a peek at the homework so you can come with questions, and then we'll kind of gauge from there. Okay? So let's go on with printing. So for the printing process, just like what we did with the walls, it's a lot of work up front, but then once you get it set up, it's really easy to print from Revit, but there's a lot of things that we have to set up first. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is we are going to lay this out on a sheet, and we are just going to use the standard Revit sheets for this particular project. And then once we get into annotation, I'm going to teach you guys how to make a custom title block at a specific size that we'll end up using too. Okay? So for now, let's go ahead and click on A1 first floor plan. Okay, and again, this was under sheets. Everybody got that okay? All right, and the way that it works is what you want to do is up in your project browser, anything you want to be on this sheet, you essentially drag it over, and you see that it places it on here for me. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys just a sec to find your main level and drag it on here. And then we'll talk about what we just brought over and how we can troubleshoot a little bit. Okay, everybody got that? I don't hear as much clicking anymore. Yeah? Oh, we lost Ashley. Did she walk out and I missed it?
Yeah, she's on to that.
Whoops. Okay, we'll catch her up.
Sorry, I got, how do I get back to see my main floor?
So I never went back to my main floor. But so now I'm back on my main level, so everything's in your project browser to answer your question. But what I did when I was in my first floor plan, I just dragged up here and then clicked and dragged my main floor plan on the sheet. Okay. So now everybody other than Ashley with me? Yeah? Good. Thank you for the nods. It does help. Let's talk about what we're seeing here. How does this lay out on our sheet? Would we give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Probably a thumbs down, right? So what I'd like to talk about actually is back in our, I want to start talking about it in our main level. You can do it here, but it's easier in the main level. So let's do this. To make our lives easier, let's click on this view and just delete it. And it just deletes it off of that sheet. Caitlin's like, are you sure? I promise it's not deleting the whole plan. It's just deleting it off of that particular sheet. For those of you guys who just came out of CAD, deleting that view is like deleting a viewport. So that's all we did was delete the viewport. Now that we're back in main level, what I want you guys to do up in your Properties tab is scroll down. And down almost at the very bottom, you should see something called Extents. And then in here, we should turn on Crop View and Crop Region. And then eventually your graphic card will pop up. And you should see, you might have to zoom out a little bit. If you do a double click on your roller ball to do a zoom all, you should see a new black square around your whole drawing. Everybody see a new black square? Deshina, you got it?
Yep,
Okay.
my mouse just doesn't like me.
All right. These mice are kind of dying. It's pretty sad. The double clicks are hard on them. All right, so let me. Oh, sorry.
It's showing sheets still on top.
Okay, so come back to your main level. Yep. So in your project browser, come back onto your main level. It should be there. So up at the project browser, you should see floor plans, right?
Oh, there we go.
Got it? You're all right. Trust me, Revit is very forgiving. Okay. So now that in your main level, we went to properties, and down at the bottom, extents, crop view, and region crop is what it should read. I'm going to extend mine out so you guys can read. So let me explain to you what each one of these are. Brooke?
It's not showing the extents under properties.
You are in a grayed out menu, right? Is your floor plan grayed out? Maybe?
Well, so I just realized that I was working on the main level, or the structural plans.
Okay.
Main level, I didn't have the floor plans main level selected.
Oh.
So this is the structural plans one that I dimensioned.
Okay, got it.
So with the floor plans, thinking that would be under that one, but it's not.
So what these two things do is when crop view is on, that means that when we go back to our plan, this plan will be cropped. Crop region visible means that this little box that we are going to take and pull into our plan, so we don't have all this extra crazy white space. If crop region visible is on, it means that this little square stays on. And we don't want it to stay on. So after we adjust it to come close to our building, now just remember that as we add annotation, we might need to make this a little bit wider, right? But for now, our crop view, visible, we're going to turn off, but we're going to keep the crop view on. Right now, there's not a lot going outside of that area, but if I were to turn this off, you can see that my elevation markers come back on. Do you guys see that? But with crop view on, they turn off. So in a nutshell, what I'd like you guys to do is to turn on your extents, right? Pull this really close to your floor plan. And then once you get that nice and tight, go ahead and turn off crop region visible, but keep crop view on. And then once you're done, just to let me know you're ready to move on, meet me back on sheet A1, please. Good. No, I can't see you guys. Ashley, you're good? Felicia? All right, awesome. So now from here, we can see the difference when we drag our main level on. It's not this giant box that has all of our elevation markers kind of hanging off of it. Okay. One thing I love about this is that it automatically puts a viewport title for us, and it includes the scale. So do you guys see that this came in at 1/4 inch? Now let's talk about troubleshooting. If you wanted to change this to a 1/2 inch, what you would do is you would click on your viewport, and over here in its properties, the first thing is its view scale. And you see that it's saying 1/4 inch? So I can pull down here and make that 1/2 inch. It still fits. Probably a little bit too big for a floor plan, but you can change it. I'm going to change it back to 1/4. And then let me do a couple troubleshooting items. So if you want to move the viewport, you actually have to click into the window, not on the viewport line. Do you guys see what happens if I click on the line versus the window? Okay, so clicking on the view title moves the view title, but then clicking into the window moves both of them together. Okay. The one thing that's helpful about clicking into the window is, do you see this line that's automatically drawn with the view title? By clicking on the window, do you see that it activates the drag point so you can move it? Okay. It always takes me a minute to remember which one is which. But when you click directly on the view title, do you see that you can't actually edit the length of that line? So there's two different things with the view title that are, one is connected to the viewport and then one is connected to itself essentially. Okay, so let's do this just for practice. Let's change first our scale to 3/16 of an inch. So why don't you guys do that first? See if you feel comfortable changing your floor plan scale to 3/16. Yeah. So I'm going to grab my viewport, and then under view scale, I'm going to change it to 3/16. Okay. Now, when I did that, my view title is now too long. Is yours too long? Does it go past your plan? To fix it, what do I click on? Do I click on the title or the viewport?
Viewport.
Good. Viewport, and then I can just drag this. Now, the standard in our class is all floor plans should be 1/4 inch. So now I'm driving you guys crazy. Move it back to 1/4 inch. Then fix your line. And then the other thing about our classes is that if you don't center your plans like this, they should be in the bottom right. So centered or bottom right. Everybody got that? Yeah. Let's do a couple more things. So under project name, let's call this one Tiny House. Oops. And then under owner, put your own name. The other thing that I love about our sheets is under scale, it tells me what scale it is, so 1/4 inch. If I had changed this back to 3/16 of an inch, this would automatically change. It's also giving you a timestamp of when you are actually going to print it, so you can see that this is kind of like a live timer. And then we will add more information later, but for now we're just going to use kind of this generic sheet right here. And if we want to find out what size this is, it is the 22 by 34 horizontal. Okay, so it's not the 24 by 36, unfortunately. There's not an easy way to change it tonight, so we're just going to keep it the 22 by 34, but eventually we will change it. Now let's do one more sheet. Right now, if you guys look at the list, do you guys see a 3D view in here? I don't, but I could be wrong. Do you guys see one? No. Nope. Okay, so let's create one, and it should be pretty simple. What I want to do is go ahead and go to Sheets and right-click. And do you see where it says New Sheet? Yeah? Okay. We're going to make a new sheet, and just so it matches the others, we're going to make it the 22 by 34. And then we're going to go ahead and click on OK. And mine sent it down to E3 unnamed. How about you?
Yep.
Same? Okay. Typically, if we're working on the same template, it'll do the same thing. But for this one, we are actually, let's call it, I'm going to go back up to the A's. Let's call it the A20. Well, no. Yeah, let's just do it the A20 for now. So over here where it says E3, if you name this A20, it'll automatically name it A20 here as well. And then did you see that because you put in the information here on the first sheet, it transferred them over? So it keeps you consistent. It didn't on yours, Raquel?
No, in my first floor plan, when I looked at the, oh, that's good. Didn't have any sheet. On the first one, I did.
You've got it now, though, David? Okay. Yes, sir. Hey. Now where it says unnamed, let's name our sheet. Let's just call this 3D views. Sorry, David, do you have a question?
I thought they were going to be like just doing their homework, but they're actually teaching. On Tuesday, the same class, the other class this week, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be here at all.
That's all right. We should be fine.
My son is graduating from high school and I'm
Congrats.
going to be with him.
Okay. Good. See you, David. All right, so now this one is 3D views. And then on the A1 sheet, let me save the project. Okay, it already named it first floor plan. Let's call it main level plan because I think that's how we named it, right? So once we name it main level here, it'll automatically change it in our project browser too. Or sheet browser, I should say. All right, now that we have two sheets that we've kind of set up, well, almost, on your 3D views, let's drag our 3D view on here. It might not be anything spectacular, but let's just put something on there so we have something. Okay. So now, even though we have all of these sheets, we are only wanting to print A1 and A20. Got it? So let's start the printing process. So this one, let's all go through together, just so you can set it up as I'm setting it up, and then we'll send through our test. And this is what you'll send me as your first assignment to make sure your PDF printer worked. So everybody go up to File, and then Print, and Print Setup. And the thing that's nice about this is when you start a project, you only have to do your setup essentially once, and then it'll keep these parameters. But it is a bit to set up the first time. So let's go through this first page. Our printer, are you guys seeing your printers pop up here?
Mine came up and said my printer is a PDF architect. Yeah, mine says the Q PDF writer.
Mine isn't coming up at all. Let me go, I'm gonna go straight to File, Print, and not Setup. That's so bizarre. Okay, the only way that I know that this will work, I'm not gonna do it the Print Setup way. Let's just go straight into File, Print, okay? And I see my printers here. I wasn't able to change it in the other setup menu. So with this one, just so we're all consistent, I'm going to do the PDF Architect 7. And then remember, when you're at home, you can try either one. Okay, they both work. The PDF Architect 7 has like a few more features that you can use outside of Revit. So for now, I'm going to use this one. And then for now, I'm going to skip past everything else and go straight into Setup. We're going to come back to the screen though. So bottom right, Setup. Now we're back to where we were before. So before I was stuck on OneNote, but now it says PDF Architect 7. Okay. So our size for now is going to be called Arch D, or it could also be, no, we're just going to do Arch D for now. Okay, so this piece of paper is going to be slightly bigger. Arch D is 24 by 36, but we're actually at 22 by 34. So we're going to have like a 2-inch margin around the whole thing. Okay, so Arch D, we want to center it. Our zoom should always be 100%. We never want to fit to page. The moment we scale the sheets to get bigger or smaller, we lose our 1/4 inch scale that we have. So even if it cuts it off, I'd rather have it cut off to be like a note to you guys, like, oh, this isn't fitting, rather than it shrinking to fit, like an 8.5 by 11 or an 11 by 17. So did you see that as soon as I did zoom, it took it off center? So let's center it again. Okay, so zoom, center. And those are the only 2 things that we need to do for now, outside of the paper size. Okay. And now we can click on OK. And we're going to do a couple more things. So under print range, instead of current window, click on selected views and sheets. After you have that selected, click on select, and then usually down at the very bottom, do you see how it lists our sheets? So go ahead and check A1 and A20. Eventually we'll have a lot more sheets, but for now, those are the 2 that we're going to do for tonight. So far, so good? Okay. I'm not going to save these for now because we're not going to be using these 2 sheets consistently. Once we get more sheets, I'll start to save them. Now, the last thing I want you to do before we hit print is, do you see where it says File? Make sure you combine multiple to selected views. Okay, so we're going to take those 2 sheets and put them in one PDF. That's essentially what it's asking. So when you guys turn in your homework, I will always want a combined PDF. So I can pull up one sheet set and just grade all of it at once and not have to open like 7 different files. Okay. Now let's make sure that it's putting it where we want it to go. So remember that folder we created at the beginning of class? Go ahead and find that folder. So I'm going to make one here called Tiny House. I forgot that I made a folder for this class. And then within that folder, make a new folder and call it PDF. So all of your PDFs go in a folder. And then I'm going to hit save. Everything else looks good. I'm going to click on OK. Oh, PDF Architect is not working. Is that the one that wanted to shut down or restart? Yep. Okay, well that's all right. We're going to use the cute PDF and see if it'll let us print. Last semester I ignored it and it let us go through. So I'm going to go back to print and change it to the cute PDF. It looks like it saved my settings. It's still centered Arch D. The only thing that it didn't save was the combined multiple selected into a single file. Let me make sure it got my sheets. Yep, it got my sheets. It's in the right place. I still see Tiny House PDF. So once you have that, go ahead and click on OK. Mine is doing something. So now, Cute PDF has taken over. Another dialog box came up. Hopefully yours is on your screen and not off to the side, hidden by mine. If it is, let me know. But it's just verifying where you want to save it. So it by default wants to put it in Documents. I don't want it to go there. So I'm going to go back to my Revit folder, PDF folder, and put it in there. So that part's a little bit redundant, that it doesn't remember where you saved it in the program. And now what I want to do, just to test it out, I'm going to go in here and there's my PDF with the 2-inch border around it. and I've got my floor plan and my 3D view. Okay. So I'm going to pause, and I'm going to give you guys some time to make sure you have this. If you do, what I would wait on is I want to make sure that you guys get your PDF printer set up at home. But this is essentially what you would do at home. Like you could print this exercise again from home, or you can print a partial version of your assignment. Valerie, did you have a question?
Yeah, you open it up in Adobe or Acrobat?
That's what I did.
So, do I have to have an account or something?
No, mine just opened right up. Did it tell you have to have an account?
Yeah, it's when you like sign in.
Okay, so do this instead. Right click on it, and instead of opening with the Adobe Reader, you can open with the Adobe Acrobat DC. I think that's like the free one. Was anybody else being asked to sign into Adobe? No?
Now it's going.
Okay, now it's letting you.
Just sign in and then it just paused and went.
It let you do it? Okay. Because we have Creative Cloud on these computers, sometimes it does want you to sign in, but usually you can skip past it and you should still be okay. So again, this is what I want for your homework. The lab, it looks like we're set up in here. PDF Architect will work the next time you're here because we'll shut it down, restart, and it'll actually be activated. But Cute PDF is ready to go. Then again, you guys can decide if you want one or both at home. Okay, PDF Architect 7 has a little bit more to it, but you can either play with it in the lab or later. Let me go ahead and stop